Hey folks, Jeff Little from Torqeedo, and today I want to go over how to make a field repair kit for your Torqeedo Ultralight such that when you're on the water and you break some part of your Torqeedo Ultralight system, that it doesn't end your day of fishing, at least with the motor. So this is the kit that I actually bring with me on the water wherever I go. And the first thing that's in there is a spare propeller. I bring the tools that I would need, and in that case, it's actually a 10mm socket with this ratcheting screwdriver. So I put that in there. I do bring an assortment of Allen keys. One of these adjusts the steering triangle, which I have a spare one of those. Another one, if you break the skeg off, I think that's a 2.5mm. That's this guy right here. That I can repair that as I go. Other things that I always bring spares of. I mentioned the propeller, but there's also shear pins. So if you look in that bag there, I got a whole bunch of little shear pins. Sometimes these get kind of bent in sort of an S shape. When that happens, you wanna pop those out and put a fresh one in. And sometimes they do what they're designed to do, and they completely shear off. Not always the case, but if it's anything but straight, you want to order a bunch of those. I'm going to go over how to order all these parts at the Torqeedo website here in a moment. Other things that I carry with me, I've actually done this where I've left the magnetic key on the throttle, and just the wind driving to the next spot has caught that tag and it flies off, and I have no way to get it going. So I carry a spare magnetic key. If you're in a pinch and you don't have one, you can go to a hardware store and just get a regular magnet and stick it on there, but you really want to have a spare one of those. I carry a couple extra of these swedges for the cables for my boats that don't, that have the the stainless steel cable as the foot control steering. And I've not had it happen yet, but I do carry an extra data cable. Those things can either get pinched or somehow else compromised. Other parts that you can order on the Torqeedo website, parts like this bolt for this one's actually for the ball mount, and then the hardware that it screws into. If you have one of these that loosens up, you really want to stay on top of that and keep that nice and tight, and maybe even get some Loctite on the thread so that doesn't back out just with the vibration of the motor. We have a video that shows how to do that and how to change out your prop and check behind it for fishing line or vegetation that can get in there that over time can actually compromise the seal, and then water gets in your motor and you've fried the motor. So those two videos, if you do a search on YouTube for Torqeedo Ultralight service, you'll get the video that goes over things like error code 30, in which the WD-40 that I carry in the kit comes into play. Just spraying that in the terminals can save you a lot of trouble. There's one on just changing your propeller and actually getting in there behind there's a little brass cap in there once you take the propeller off, and checking to see, hey, is there any fishing line that's gotten up in there that can actually, with time, if you don't pull it out of there, any vegetation or fishing line, especially braided fishing line, can just continually spin and it just wears away at the seal, and that'll fry your motor. So those videos are, just do a search on YouTube, Torqeedo Ultralight service, and you get that whole set of service videos that come up. Torqeedo, spelled Torqeedo, there's no U in there. and you can tell I've already done that search a few times, but Ultralight service, and you know, there's the whole set of them, and it starts with the steering triangle slipping, and that's the older steering triangle for the 4.3.
If you have a Ultralight 4.3,
I'm not going to do that one, but we will go to shear pin replacement, motor propeller, and shear pin replacement. This is the procedure you follow to check behind it for fishing line.
If you have an Ultralight 4.3 or an Evolve and you need to remove the prop, sometimes this can be challenging. I'm going to show you how to go ahead and do this. I'm going to use the 10mm socket to go ahead and remove the nylon locking nut. The blade can be sharp. You may want to wear a glove.
I don't have to show the whole thing, but you get an idea. This is something that you will want to do on a regular basis. Just checking behind that to make sure that there's not fishing line in there. Other ones like Air Codes E30, that one's important. It actually shows how to thread it properly, but also the use of some WD-40 in there.
Ultralight 4.3 or a Evolve, and you're experiencing E30, this means data communication between the battery and the motor. Now, this could be due to a poor contact, or this can be due to two other reasons. First, let's address the poor contact. I'm going to go ahead and remove my remote throttle cable. So
I'll let you take time to watch that on your own. Another one that comes up a good bit is the E03 and 04. This is actually part of the safety mechanism so that when the motor tilts up, that it shuts off.
If you have an Ultralight or Evolve and experiencing an air code E03 or E04, this is a tilt sensor air code. Now, I do have a Ultralight motor here to demonstrate these air codes.
So watching these videos ahead of time is something that's going to help you when you do have problems out on the water to be able to overcome them very quickly. Here I'm at Torqeedo.com. What I want to do is go to the little hourglass here, and in the search dialog box, I'm just going to type in Torqeedo Ultralight Parts, or you could just do Ultralight Parts. Let's see what comes up here. So, found products right here. We have 57, and I'm going to click on this link here, all found products. So that takes you to everything from, you know, a remote throttle to these, you know, these parts for the ball mount. As you go down, you can see you can actually purchase a spare pylon or a pylon to replace if you broke one. There's your skeg. $10.66 is pretty good insurance to be able to replace that out in the field. That's that hex bolt for the ball mount. There's everything in here, but you gotta kind of go through each one. Each page, there's 3 pages of stuff. And there's your shear pins at 54 cents a piece. I would get a bunch of them, you know, just make sure. There's a steering triangle there, a little bit of everything in here. So whatever you need to come up with a kit, and I just, you know, showed you the contents of mine, you'll be able to order right here. And just have that peace of mind that, hey, I have what I need to make repairs while I'm out there. One thing I will recommend is if you get a rock guard, this one is made by Innovative Sportsman, certainly decreases the number of times that I've had to get into this field repair kit. This one, you know, has the you know, these forks that protect the propeller. It actually has this profile that if something hits it here, as the motor lifts up, it comes over and avoids hitting the pylon, which is in here. Another nice feature is that it has this grass cutter here that does a nice job, but don't let that make you think that, hey, I never have to check behind the propeller for braided fishing line or vegetation that can actually compromise the seal on the motor and destroy it. So always check behind there. I am very careful with the battery. I've not had the unfortunate experience of breaking the case, either the top or the bottom, but we've had customers who have. Just by doing something as simple as leaving it on the edge of a tailgate that drops off and hits something hard down there. The material that this is made with is actually a special kind of plastic for electronics, so as such it's not as durable as a kayak plastic. It's a lot less forgiving, so be careful with how you handle the battery, and just make sure that you're using that handle and you don't fumble it. If you do damage some part of it, what you want to do is get in touch with the service center and get it to that service center so they can repair either the top or the bottom. The newer style that you see here, they can replace top or bottom. Some of the older styles, you don't have that option. So, but you do want to be careful with your battery. Now, besides the WD-40 trick in the terminals to get good connection, I'll actually spray both of them. The other thing that's very important when you're either talking about either the main motor cable or the data cable that goes there is to line up those pins and make sure that you actually seat it in. I'm going to show that up close so you get an idea of what we're talking about here. If you just go in part way and start threading, you can actually cross thread it. And what you want to do is kind of work it around. I'm going to lay it down to do it and really feel it go inward before you start with the threads. Push it in and make sure that it should be very easy when you do the threads. If you have any difficulty at the beginning, you're likely cross threading the plastic threads here, which is something that's fairly easy to do. In most cases, the E30 error code can be attributed to just poorly seating this and then cross threading the threads. So, all right, that should be ready to go. Yep, we got good power. One other thing I wanted to go over was the battery, and I get a lot of questions from folks saying, hey, my battery never finishes charging. What's going on there? I think I have a broken charger, which isn't impossible, but you should understand that this little red light here, when it is blinking, and I'm going to plug it in there and see how that sucker's blinking. That means that it is charging. And it's blinking red. Once that's done blinking and it just goes to solid, that just means that the charge is done. So blinking red, it's still taking a charge. Solid red means that the charge is full. I know sometimes people, when you plug it in, it'll have a little green flash, and really that's just something to let folks that service these batteries know something. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but they see that green flash initially and they're like, oh, it can turn green. That should be, my indication that it's green, it's good to go. No, fully charged, solid red, still charging, blinking red.